It's almost as if the banking crisis never took place. And now we've got the markets totally reversing. I mean, the VIX has been monkey slammed as if nothing ever happened. It's quite interesting. I don't want to say it was predictable. It wasn't at all, actually, because I thought that, well, let's just talk about gold for a second. I thought gold wouldn't have dropped today. That surprised me a little bit. And my last trade on the miners, which was to buy them, chasing them a little bit, that didn't work out very well. And I got slammed a little bit today, although it did bounce a little bit off their lows. We'll look at the miners actually, but I did get a little bit destroyed and I did call it a little bit wrong. I didn't foresee this type of a drop. I did say maybe gold would come back down again because, you know, it sort of failed that momentum at 2000, and it did remind me a little bit of that move up, that big spike following the invasion of Ukraine. But I mean, I saw it, but a bit late. So, I mean, the last buy I did in the miners wasn't the best. But then again, you know, I always weighted myself sort of in a balanced manner, and never too aggressive and never added too much, spread the risk. And some of them aren't down that much. Although First Majestic got destroyed today, which I do hold. I'll go through the miners later. Let's start with the markets. Look at this. It's incredible. You know, the S&P now going for this descending line. Pretty strong close. Obviously, tomorrow is Fed day, so let's see. You know, maybe we keep the momentum going, and then once the Fed talks, we get slammed. As usual, there'll be some sort of whipsaw as soon as he talks, and then the Q&A session. Everyone's expecting 25 basis points. Normally, the Fed delivers on what's expected, so I think we'll get that. I think it's an 80% chance. You know, people are rating 80% for 25 basis points, so let's see what happens. But this is a strong market for now. You know, we do have the S&P reaching resistance, so I don't expect too much. So I would expect really resistance around here. But again, it's Fed day, so anything can happen. I kind of expect the market to just close red, actually. So what I would expect is a tag of this descending line, and then a close sort of where we are today, slightly red, shooting star style reversal down the next day. The markets have to come down to me. You know, how can the markets go higher? I mean, I understand a little, oh, the banking crisis is over. Yeah, but that brings us at best to where we were before, which is horrible fundamentally, you know, and the banking crisis is not over. I mean, the only thing that you could say is bullish is we're coming to the end of the rate increase, but still that'll take us to like 5%, you know, Fed funds rate, which is way too high for banks that have loads of, you know, debt, short-term debt. You don't think there are other banks out there that are on a bit of a timer before they explode? So yeah, so S&P, you know, I think we'll tag this descending line. Nasdaq, obviously it's the strongest one. We've closed above this horizontal line, so it's probably tag this upper last resistance. It's the last resistance before we get to this one. Now, I'll admit, you know, tech has been okay during this banking crisis. I don't think that's warranted. But it's not as if it's like the Dow, when the Dow took out this. Remember when the Dow was all the way up here, which is ridiculous to me. I was at one point thinking, my God, if we go higher, we're talking about all-time highs. So, you know, this is like the second last line of the sand. Just bear with me here. You know, this here. And then once you take this one out, there's really nothing until you're talking about 36,400, 500, 900, you know, the high 36,000s. So once we were around here in early December, I was thinking, my goodness, this is ridiculous. Now, it doesn't completely remind me of that down here, but you know, you're starting to see the last resistance before we start moving higher, which takes us to, you know, 333, let's say. But it's not like the Dow, because when you zoom out, there's a lot of higher resistance points, and you know, there's a long way to get there, and you can expect a lot of resistance there. So it's not as bad. I say as bad, but it's not as powerful as the Dow back then. So, but still, I expect us to tag this tomorrow, this upper end. It's just place this so it's obvious, and then close sort of down, you know, a red close actually, a bit like the S&P. So although it's looking strong, I expect the reversal tomorrow. Dow Jones, you know, closing at resistance. I mean, it could go a little higher and tag the descending line, a bit like the SPY. But I mean, the Dow's been pretty weak lately, so well, I'm not sure what to expect, but let's just say at best tagging this, I don't see it closing above the descending line. The Russell has been the weakest and it's still weak today. Look at that, you know. I mean, yes, it's up 1.8%, which is the strongest out of all of them, but still, you know, it gave back a lot. You know, it didn't close anywhere near high of day, unlike the others. So, I mean, how much can it do tomorrow? Maybe at best tag the ascending line. But you know, this is going to be the first one to flush and hit its all-time lows of the bear market. So what do I expect overall? I expect, you know, some movement up, some continuation of today a little bit. And then once the Fed talks, nothing matters. Everything gets thrown out the window. And I expect a red close. So yeah, but looking at the VIX, this is just obscene stuff. How can the VIX be in the low 20s? And I can't imagine all market participants out there think the banking crisis is over. I know they're ready to backstop everything, but that's just so inflationary that, you know, you've got this sort of dog chasing its tail if that's going to be inflation, and it is, and they have, you know, sort of relaunched QE. Look at the Fed's balance sheet. So therefore, rate increases. Well, then the banks fail. Well, then QE, then rate. I mean, it's just a circle. It's just, this is going to end horribly. Most people can see it. I heard Yellen today talking. How many times did she say the word the banks are resilient and stable, or whatever that other word was? I mean, how can you feel reassured when they keep repeating these same words? And you know, there's the only two words on her piece of paper that she was reading out loud. It was really weird actually listening to Yellen talk today, because it didn't last very long and it was just the same words on repeat. And I didn't feel very reassured. But anyway, so the markets, you know, they had their green day. It all depends on tomorrow. Let's see what happens. I still think we'll have a drop after the Fed talks, but towards the close of day, you know, immediately after the Fed talks, you have your usual whipsaw sort of massive move up, followed by a massive move down. That's what I expect also. Let's look at rates, which have been a little difficult to call recently. I mean, yes, we had a move up today because rates going up suggests bonds being sold, because we are risk on, you know, markets are being bought. So people selling bonds, buying stocks, rates go down. Usually when rates go up, markets go down. But as we know now, things have completely inverted a bit. And now it's the opposite. So when rates go up, it's a good thing. But then again, rates are going up from a very low level. When I say very low, I mean looking back the last couple of months. So that's why it's not too alarming. But, you know, if the Fed's going to raise 25 basis points to around, to move it from 4.75 to 5 around this zone, you'd expect the 2-year to start moving back up now to reflect that. So I expect rates to go back up. But let's see, maybe we'll get to a point again where rates going up means the market goes down. And it's this vicious circle. It's like, you know, okay, once rates go back up again, now the banks are in trouble, and then maybe another bank starts to go under. And then what happens? Then everyone buys bonds again, and rates drop because there's fear, and banks are going bankrupt. And then what happens to gold? It's like, that's why I really don't mind being in gold, because overall you're good, you know. I think we really are in the best position. Commodities also, generally speaking, but gold in particular. Yeah, so other rates, same thing, you know, the chart pattern has been disrupted for the shorter term yields, but the longer term ones you can see held, otherwise following the same sort of trajectory. So slight move up today in all yields. And tomorrow I expect the same small move up. Just, it'll be interesting to see when yields going up actually starts to change the dynamics of the market going up. You know, when does that actually mean, oh wait, the market goes down again? And is that a trigger point for banks? Is that like an early warning? Can the market smell banks being vulnerable? You know, and for me, it's when the 2-year, to be honest, is around 4.75%. I mean, you know, I don't know when the crisis actually hit. I suppose it was really this day here when everything started to crash. But yeah, it was that Thursday, Friday. That's when. But obviously, it's being affected months ago. But you know, when will the market suggest, oh wait, we're in the danger zone? Maybe it's when it's above 4.5 on the 2-year. I don't know. To be honest, rates just being where they are is enough for me. I always said, you know, even 3%, but definitely 4% and anywhere near 5% is just too much to handle for them. So okay, so that's rates. Let's look at the dollar, the DXY, the dollar. So yeah, today, you know, nothing too crazy, just a bit of a sideways day. Again, everything depends on tomorrow. I think we do have to look at the other currencies. So I did say watch out for the euro dollar. Again, everything depends on tomorrow, but if you do see the euro break out higher above sort of 108 and move towards 110, then well, obviously you're going to see the DXY go down. But you know, watch out for the euro looking strong, because look, we got to move up, a slam down, and despite the slam down, we've moved up. And again, that's what I was saying in my latest video. You know, the fact that it's sort of climbed its way back up pretty quickly in 3 days, despite the slam down, suggests it wants to go higher. And today we had another higher close. So for me, the euro looks like it wants to go higher a level. So I wouldn't be surprised if the euro starts to make its move to 110. US dollar, Japanese yen, to be fair, that actually did a small reversal today. I'm of the opinion that we could actually go back down and test the 128 level. But okay, today we did not do that. So it's interesting to see the US dollar yen up whilst the euro was up against the dollar. So that's a small dichotomy here. And the pounds, yeah, slightly down actually. Interesting. But you can see, you know, it's strong and it looks like it wants to go a little higher. So let's see, it really is undecided, which also explains why the dollar is sort of, you know, didn't make any crazy moves today. So really it's undecided. Just have to watch the chart. I'm not going to take a guess, to be honest. And let's see what Powell says, because he'll definitely move the needle and decide the next chart pattern for the next couple of trading days at least. So yeah, keep an eye on the dollar, of course, tomorrow. Let's look at commodities. Copper moved up with the markets. You can see a bit of resistance towards the close. Well, not towards the close, but you know, it didn't close at high of day. So this descending for me is still correct. I think overall, if I had to choose, it's going to come back down here. So I'm going to leave my target there. That's what I think will happen, namely because the market's going to go down. And copper usually follows the markets, or vice versa. The market follows the copper. Natural gas, you can see a small reversal. I did buy my natural gas, by the way. I bought my NGAS at 0.0009 something. I forgot what it was, but basically I bought it today. So I added finally natural gas. Let's see where it is. So just to give you an 9293, I forgot which one it was, but you can see, you know, I basically bought this dip here. I think it was 92, but whatever, it's the same thing. So yeah, I doubled in, let's say. So I have my first entry was around here. It was 1-1 on the upper side here. So, and then I bought here at 9-2, I think it was. So that's 2 tranches in. I'm ready to go in with about 5. So if we go lower, well, you don't see it on this chart, but it can, you know, let's go back up to where I was in general natural gas. So yeah, if we go a little lower towards the absolute bottom of the 2020 period, then I'll be adding again for sure. I'll let you know. I'm doing videos every day, so you'll see. But yeah, I added to natural gas. So let's see if we can mount a nice move up now. That'd be nice. I've got a decent amount now, so I really don't mind it going up. If it went up before, I'd make a little bit, but now that I've sort of doubled the position, it's a more sizable amount. So very happy. For me, you know, you zoom out, you look at natural gas. That's long term. That's a brilliant buy. So, you know, will I sell if it goes to 3? Maybe I'll trim a little bit, like a quarter of the position, because I would expect a small move back down, which I could then buy back. But otherwise, you know, if it starts to move up, I think it would break out and then start to go to 3.5, 4, 4.5, the usual 50-cent increments. So anyway, for me, natural gas looks good. And it was a nice little close, you know. So it went down, but look at that close around high of day. So looks good for me. Oil, yeah, that's actually what I expected. So we had a nice bounce at the mid 60s, which coincides perfectly with these pivots here. So long-term support. And, you know, I did think that we were going to come back up to the 70s. To be honest, wouldn't be surprised if we push through and go to 72. and then we'll see, maybe it'll get a bit of resistance and come back down again. Oil, a bit like copper, moves with the markets sometimes, so let's see what happens. But could have some follow through on oil. Obviously tomorrow's Fed day, so can't predict too much. Uranium, yes, a little bit more of a move up. You can see here we're getting closer and closer to this decision time. So at one point here, I don't know how many days away, 1, 2, 3, 4. It depends if we come back down again. You've got a couple more days, but at some point we're gonna have to break out of this descending, and then we'd have to start testing this one. Or if we break down from here, then to be honest, there are some other levels that I can already identify, like the horizontals, all of the horizontals of these important pivot points. That's usually how I would call it, but they're quite close together actually. So you'd expect some strong support. Yeah, I mean, you could get like immediate rebounds because there should be strong support. So 18, 17, yeah, quite a lot in the 17s. But anyway, let's see once we get there. But for me, I'll delete them for now because they hurt my eyes. But you can see, if we come back down again, this is quite critical for the long-term chart. And I hope it does flush because I own no uranium. And I think it's a very good resource long-term. Nuclear power basically is the only way to achieve your green energy agenda. So, and I think they're coming around to that. There are some countries resisting, but you've got France, for example. Japan, I think, is re-embracing them. But you got some holdouts like Germany still, I think, and some other European countries. But I think the US will start to adopt it. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But hopefully, uranium crashes before, because I like to buy things cheap. Let's look at gold. So I think gold was down more than silver today, which is not the most bearish of signals, by the way. But I mean, look, it's just banking crisis over, people buying stocks. So, and we did make a hell of a run. And I knew that, in the back of my mind. I mean, this morning I made a video where I did say, it's feels like it could come down. It reminds me of the Russia-Ukraine pump up, was it here? I think it was, yeah. And instantly come back down again. Everyone gets taken by the hype, me included. I was chasing miners around here, and well, I'll look at the miners chart because it's not as good actually. It's not the end of the world, it's just it's probably like my first bad buy, but overall it doesn't change anything. But what do I think? Where's support in gold? Well, first of all, it's too early to call it because the Fed speaks tomorrow, and so if you were to spend 2 hours making a perfect chart, it would be null and void after the Fed talks anyway. But if I was to try and draw some trend lines, we've already lost the ascending. You can see where that would have been. And it's so steep that for me, the ascending wouldn't have made sense anyway. It's a bit it's one of those. But here you can see as soon as we lost the ascending, it did come down. Now we're hitting the top part here. So 1930s. Yeah, 1930s makes sense. Why is this line here actually? These were prior levels. Will they count on the way back down? Well, this one might, this one might, this one not so much. Maybe actually it hit its head here and then it started to act as support. Yeah, but we'll see. I'm going to leave these in, but I don't think that you can be too sure of trend lines right now for gold. And again, with what's coming tomorrow, there's no point in getting too strict about it. I'll delete the ascending because that's already been voided. So let's see, can we have further downside? Yeah. But to me, what really matters is what happens to the miners. And the miners weren't down too much today. If you consider gold was down 2%. And again, the silver was down like 1%. And some miners were sort of down 2%, which is nothing. It's like an average day. So, but anyway, we'll get to the miners. Let's get to the miners now, actually. Gold, it's just come down a bit more because the banking crisis is over, which it's not. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow is more important than today, so let's not overdo it today. Silver, I'll go back to the daily. Silver was kind of a nothing day. I mean, you can almost call this a sideways day. If I just look at gold very quickly, you can see the big drop. But silver just sideways holding, which is good because it had to make up, it had to catch up with gold, which is what it's doing here, even on the way down, right? If gold's going down more than silver, silver's still catching up. So, and again, silver not being down as much as gold is kind of bullish. So let's see, maybe we can hold. Again, everything depends on tomorrow, but if it's bullish for the metals, then you could start to see silver really climb back into the 23, 24 zone. It's a crazy day. We can get straight to the 24 zone. Well, no, that's too much. But, you know, if we can start reclaiming 23 on silver, we're back in this range here, the top part, and hitting our head soon against this very important descending line. And if we're doing that, gold can start playing around with 2000 soon. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I don't really need to go over it more than that. But silver very strong, or not very weak. The miners, weak. I mean, compared to silver at least. You know, it didn't have a sideways holding day like silver did. It really was just a bit of a slam. The GDXJ was down more than GDX, which is normal, which is, you know, I don't want to say bearish, but, you know, it's what you expect. Which is why the outlier for me was silver not being down that much. And actually, if it was, it would have been a much worse day. But, you know, you can see it kind of gave back, not everything from that Friday, but, you know, we did test sort of the lower range of that Friday with this drop today. When it comes to the chart, again, because of what's coming tomorrow, I don't see any point in overdoing it. The ascending has kind of been lost also. I was looking at that also, but I don't think there's much point in drawing any ascending. It's just sort of, let's see what happens tomorrow. You know, I think these two horizontal lines count, makes sense. You know, here the upper end, tag with these, we never really went too much above it. We didn't fill the gap completely. And this horizontal line acted as resistance, you know, here, and then we back tested it. So for me, these two horizontal lines and the one above it and the one below it completely count. So I'll leave those in, and let's just see what happens tomorrow. Will the miners follow the markets? Will they follow the metal? Will everyone follow each other? How do bonds react? Tomorrow's going to be extremely important, and I'm very interested to see how everything cooperates with one another. GDXJ, exact same thing. So yeah, so that's it. Now I'll just take a look at First Majestic. Here it is in my portfolio. Thank God I didn't favor First Majestic over any other stock. You can see the other stocks sort of, you know, down 2, 3, 4%, nothing crazy. One or two silver stocks down 6%, but look at First Majestic. And, you know, this is, I remember when I started off, I had like 2 or 3 stocks and I had just everything in it, you know, and I got lucky. None of them really went down too much. They didn't go up a crazy amount, but I kind of got lucky. But imagine you're all in First Majestic just because you believe in it or something. If this happens, you're just, you know, you've lost a quarter of your wealth in one go. So this is another reason why you should never be too much in one stock, no matter how much you believe in it. First Majestic was already showing some signs of worry, you know, on this drop here, which I actually bought and then sold half. And then I didn't buy back on the drop. It kept going, and I didn't sell any more, and I didn't buy any more. I didn't. So, you know, I'd already done quite well. And then it dropped here. And actually, I bought a little bit today. I'm not gonna lie, I bought a little bit today. I bought a little bit of a few today. I think I bought Barrick Gold, and then I bought or tuna 330, just because whatever, it's, you know, kind of toward the lower range, by very small amounts. I just thought I'll buy some, because I think that gold is still up for the 2000 breakout. So I thought the miners are still a steal, so I just bought those that I thought were still a little underpriced. But yeah, First Majestic just really got crushed. I think it was, yeah, it was news related. What was it again? They're gonna halt their mine, their most expensive mine, or at least the mine that's operating at a loss, which I don't think is the worst news. I didn't read too much into news. I never never count news too much. It's just technically we're really testing. If I zoom out, look at this very long-term ascending support. I thought, yeah, you know, look, gold's testing 2000. I think I'll buy First Majestic down here. And it's not some crappy little stock. You know, this is a well-established silver mine owned by Neumeier, I forgot his name, who's pretty good in the industry. So I thought it was worth it. But anyway, you know, another reason why you should spread yourself just in case. Maybe I can end very quick on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, honestly, I didn't pay too much attention to it because of what's going on in the miners, but you can see still flagging up here quite strong, right? Outperformed gold and silver today. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Oh, look at Ripple. I didn't expect that. That's nice. It's news related. A lot of people talking about alt season being in. Maybe it's the case. Maybe the alternative coins will also start to make a move now. That's interesting. I'll keep my eye on that. But yeah, Bitcoin, just holding, flagging nice and strong, actually. Interesting. I'll have to pay attention to that when the Fed talks. So yeah, you know, that's my recap. Gold made a bit of a drop. Miners dropped with it. Not the end of the world. I bought some, and to be honest, I got a bit more serious about the miners. I thought, you know what, let's dedicate, because I think this is the sector to be in. I've seen what I need to see. Banking crisis, gold was the go-to currency, and it goes up with the markets, it goes up when the market goes down. So overall, yeah, I just decided to be a bit more aggressive. So I even bought this drop despite chasing it just a few days ago. So let's see what happens tomorrow. That will really be the test also. So yeah, I'll do a video then.